U.S. Democrats have released that now infamous Trump birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein, a letter that the president has denied writing. On Monday, the U.S. Oversight released a copy which features the drawing of the outline of a woman that surrounds the letter's body, and there's back and forth imaginary dialogue between Trump and Epstein. It was part of a 2003 album compiled for the accused sex trafficker's 50th birthday, and it's signed at the bottom by Donald Trump. Allegedly, Trump has filed a $10 million lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for reporting on his link to the letter, and here the letter is. I want to bring in CTV's political analyst Eric Ham now with more. So, Eric, the president has denied all along that he had anything to do with this letter, that he didn't write it. Now we see a signature at the bottom that looks a lot like the signature we're all familiar seeing, given the number of executive orders that he signed. Where does this go from here? Can he continue to deny anything to do with this letter?
Well, given the fact that he has signed this multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal, claiming that there was no letter, I think this is going to be very difficult for him to be able to make this case against the Wall Street Journal, because we have to remember, the Wall Street Journal actually reported that there was, in fact, a letter, not that the letter was actually signed by Donald Trump. The fact that there is a signature could potentially be a gift to the paper in the courts. In addition to that, we know that this letter, we have to remember, comes directly from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, which actually produced this information about this birthday book that Donald Trump reportedly claimed not only knew nothing about, but also said that he had never actually signed a letter. And so now this letter has been produced, and it was the House Oversight Committee that actually provided this letter to the public, which I think only puts this entire Epstein saga back in the front discourse for many people who thought perhaps that this was over, given the fact that Republicans had actually moved away from it. Now what we're also learning is that this discharge petition by both Democrats and Republicans in the House have reached 216 signatures. They need 218 to actually call for the release of all of these documents from the Epstein case. And it looks like they may actually get there. And we're seeing right now Speaker Johnson is pushing very aggressively to try to seek the failure of this discharge petition. But this is becoming increasingly heated for the president.
Yeah, and in all fairness, just because he may have participated in this birthday book, or even if he went to Epstein's Island, it doesn't say he did anything wrong, but you know, denying it is certainly not a good look. And that leads to my next question, because this seems like it's really dividing even those within MAGA, Eric. Could this be the downfall of the MAGA movement? I mean, they're willing to put up with a lot, but not when it comes to the Epstein file, it seems.
Well, it's become increasingly harder for the president to deny, particularly now that this letter has been made public. But we also have to remember, Donald Trump is underwater on a lot of key pillars, from immigration to the economy to crime. And that is also bringing down MAGA and his party. And as they are now looking more closely at next year's midterm elections, where it looks like Democrats could gain as many as 20, perhaps even more seats in the House of Representatives, you have members that are now actually beginning to look at their own political survival. And that's, I think, causing more friction and tension. And I think it's pitting Republican against Republican. And now there's a budget standoff taking place where we could see a potential government shutdown at the end of the month. And Donald Trump is now having to try to quell those voices within his own party, even as we're seeing this Epstein saga continue to show more and more legs.
Yeah, we're seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene agreeing with some Democrats. Who would have thought this day would come, right? Like this issue.
Strange bedfellows.
Right, right. Okay, Eric, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks so much for your time with us.